athletes and fans of bodybuilding. Tarek El-Guindy with the Mr. Olympia. Today, we have the greatest wheelchair bodybuilder in the history of the sport. His name is Harold King Kong Kelly. I think he's registered as Harold Kelly, but we've already implemented the King Kong forever and on. Harold Kelly, how are you? You are the greatest wheelchair competitor of all times, correct?
Yes, sir. As of now. Yes,
well,
sir.
It's an honor to have you here on Olympia Live. I want to introduce my two co-hosts. He is the master of ceremony for the Mr. Olympia, the athlete's representative, the voice of bodybuilding, the 2000 Mr. USA's, the iconic Bob Cicherillo. How are you, Bob?
What's up? What's going on, guys? Always a pleasure. Got Big Nick. The beast is in the house. The champ, the GOAT of all time. And I tell you what, man, I'm looking forward to a great competition season coming up. We're only, 5 weeks away?
5 weeks away, yes. 5 weeks away from the Arnold Classic. I want to introduce my other co-host. He is the ambassador of wheelchair bodybuilding. He is also an iconic figure in the IFBB Pro League. He's the one leading the charge for all the wheelchair competitors, not only in the United States, but in Brazil, Europe, India. This guy is everywhere. His nickname is The Beast. He is. Nick Scott, how are you?
Good. I'm the guy around the world trying to find athletes to take down Harold King Kong Kelly.
and Nick, you've been doing a good job because, Harold, I'll start with you. Harold, a few years back, 2-3 years ago, it was inconceivable to say that somebody was going to beat Harold Kelly. It was like you came on stage, and I remember judging you at the Olympia. It's like we were looking for whoever was going to place second place. The game has changed. These guys are coming after you. Kevin Scundito, Molesky, Gabriele Andriuli. We have a pool of talent right now that's very impressive. What do you have to say about some of these guys coming after you?
Man, it's phenomenal, man. I'm glad to see that, our class is growing. And we have competitors that Sean are exemplifying the wheelchair class on a high level, showing the world that, we do the same work everyone else is doing. And, even though I was forerunner, with Nick, because both of us competing at the same time, so many more people are coming out, more guys are coming out, which is good. It's great. I mean, all hats off to the guys that's very competitive. And that's what we want. No problem. I want that myself. So that's going to push me, make me even better for the next wave. So let's get it.
Hey, Nick Scott. It's really vibrant to see the wheelchair category right now because it's very competitive. We know Harold Kelly has the lines. He has the mass, beautiful shape. But we know Gabriele Andriuli has tremendous conditioning. And then we look at Karol Molesky. Man, that guy has mass. And then, Kevin Scandino, he's from France. He's a big guy. Then we have some of these Brazilian guys, right? Gorilla Albino from Brazil, big arms. Talk to me about some of these new competitors and which one do you think is the biggest threat to Harold Kelly?
Well, when I travel around the world, I look at them because some of their poses is not the flowing, and there's a certain guideline that I want these athletes to, when they roll out on stage, to represent the highest level because they don't know what it is at the Arnold and at the Olympia. So when I go there, I ask them to look them over if they want help and fine tune, even with Gorilla, even with Malinsky and all this stuff. And the biggest threat I thought at the time was Karol, because the 2022 Arnold UK, when that took place, I thought he was going to win it, but he took third. And then keeping at him, that's when he finally did, win, and then he qualified, and that's how he won. I was just like, and you got it. You just got to fine tune. And then his posing was not the greatest, but then he tweaked it, and then he brought it. But as for a threat right now to Harold, some of these guys could take it if Harold's off, but if Harold's on point, I don't see anybody dethroning King Kong. But I'm traveling the world trying to find the next talent. And some of these guys that they wanted, they just don't have the funds to travel around the world. So I'm trying to make it accessible for them, so then they have a chance and they bring hope to their country. So then they have something to look forward and get more athletes and more people behind this, so the sport will grow as a whole around the world.
Hey, Bob, you're right there. You're emceeing these guys. We've seen the dominance of Harold Kelly, but, the game is changing. Some of these guys are coming close to him. We have here on screen the first call out of the Mr. Olympia, and you can see Kevin Scandino. He's got huge chest. Karol Molesky is moving right now a little bit to the center. He's a big dude. Gorilla Obino right next between Karol Molesky and Harold Kelly. He's got nice arms too. We know Gabriele Andriuli. He actually defeated Harold Kelly. I know Harold doesn't like me to bring this up, but he's already defeated Harold at the Arnold. What do you think of this new lineup? This is getting competitive, Bob.
Well, let's get one thing square right now, because Harold's too much of a class act to toot his own horn, and I get all that. That's cool, but he's only been defeated by one person and one person only, and that's himself. Okay, Harold is his own competition. He's the Ronnie Coleman on wheels when it comes to wheelchair bodybuilding. All right, he has a physique that is just better than the other guys. Like Nick said, when he's on. Now, the only time he's lost is when he's coming off. So, like every bodybuilder is subject to do on stage. Like right now, you got Samson Dauda as our current and reigning Olympia champ. If he continues to come in on, I don't think there's anybody that can beat him. But that's the game, right? Just coming in on. And Harold's had a few lapses over the last couple of years. Listen, it's hard to knock a guy that's been on top since the beginning. I've lost count once again here. What do you got? 24, 25 wins now? Where are we at?
Me too.
He can't even recount his own titles, but you got, depending on when we started the actual Olympia, you got what, 5 titles, 6 now?
6 Olympias, 7 Arnolds.
Right.
And,
so
was doing it since 2010.
Listen, if you're doing the math out there at home, okay, Harold's been on top for the better part of a decade. Anytime you can be the best of what you do for a 10-year, again, Ronnie was there for 8 straight. Iris Kyle in the women's division. Again, she's got 10. Harold, again, he's been there for 10 years now. The battle is against himself and himself only. The only suggestion I would give you, Harold, is by all means, please, for the love of God, shave that old man beard off before you get on stage at the Arnold, because now you're pulling a Dexter Jackson, okay? Like, you get the white beard, you're going to look like you're 80 years old out there, bro. Come on. I want some fresh, clean-shaven Harold King Kong Kelly out there.
I was thinking about doing a Chris Seabum.
Nah,
Chris Seabum.
Listen, you could do the Seabum, but just do the mustache. Maybe you can do the Ted Lane Isaac. From the Love Boat look, let's bring that back. Vintage.
No, what Bob was saying, Bob, you're absolutely right. Like, I don't see anybody taking Harold down, but if Harold's off, he knows it himself that things can be taken away. But Harold's the greatest of all time. He won pretty much all the Olympias, all the Arnolds, as well as the Arnold Africa when it was IFBB Pro League in 2017. So Harold's his worst, he's his worst enemy, trying to battle this within himself, how long he's going to go.
Well, let's get into this, though, because nobody ever asked the obvious question, Harold. You had a tremendous career. You've won almost every show you've been in, but you did have a few letdowns over the last couple of years. The million-dollar question is why, or do you know why it was a letdown in training? You were overconfident, maybe you didn't train hard enough, or you clearly tried a different program. What would be the reason why you would come in off?
Well, I can clearly tell you exactly why. We knew it. We kind of knew it going into it. And these are pure facts. I was starting a trucking company. Remember that?
Yeah.
I was on the road. I drove to Orlando in my truck doing peak week. So I don't know if I need to explain anymore when you say it. I drove to Atlanta in my dually with the load, going to Orlando to compete. I mean, you know, I like pushing myself, see what I can do, and when I can't do it because I couldn't do it, but I'm not gonna not do it because I didn't do it. So I'm a guy. I'm an old school man. I'm gonna push the envelope to the envelope pop, and if it pop, it popped on my end, not somebody else's or something I didn't do. I'm gonna do everything I want to do or how I can do it to see how it works for me. If it doesn't work, then it didn't work. At least I tried it. Okay, cool. Now we're not gonna do that again. But just like Nick said, is how I put myself, and I think God blessed me with something that I have to, you know, utilize and give back, and I understand that. And I don't look at other guys and see who I compare to. I don't compare myself to anybody. I know when my wife and I, since day one, she trained me since day one. And when, you know, was talking about the training thing, my wife will always train me. And we look at pictures, we look at ourselves, we ask questions, we try this, and I'm a type person. I mean, I push hard when I train. My bench got up to 520. I curl 225. I can curl 225, 4 plates. And so I will work out really heavy. I love working out heavy. So that's where my muscles come from. And I continue to do as much as I can do it. I am 53 going on 54 in April. And I still feel 30 something years old. I don't feel one pain. I broke my wrist in 93. That's the only little feel I feel right there, just because I broke my wrist. But other than that, I feel great. And I'm gonna do it as long as the wheels falls off, until the wheels fall off. That's how long I'm gonna do it. I'm not thinking about the number because I don't feel that I'm at that number. I'm just doing it to my body can hold up. And I don't do a lot of subs. I don't do a lot of probiotics, and I didn't do a lot. At 44 years old was the first time I ever used anything because my doctor said my T level was low. So all the shows that I did before that, my first 5 shows, that was NGA. That was all natural. And I don't allocate that. That's just the reality of it. I never used anything until I turned 44 years old. That was the first test I took. So that's why my body's still in condition the way it is, because my body don't run off of that. Don't get me wrong. I use to get myself there, but my body never ran off that for 44 years. So when it does taste something like that, it's like, oh, okay, let's regroup. Let's start all over again. So I started at 45, starting at 0, and people got starting at 18 years old. So that's why my body's still in a solid position. And my internals are good.
Now, Tarek, I'd just like to point out that nobody makes more wheelchair puns than Nick Scott and Harold Kelly. Okay, that the wheels falling off, that's all done, bro.
I thought the same thing when he said that.
Until the wheels fall off,
bro. You got to
the wheels fall off. Lily fall off.
Stuff Nick comes up with on
Harold, that could be in about 200 years.
If he showed the president in the wheelchair, he's gonna pop himself in the wheelchair. Wheels pop off.
So I want to break down here front double biceps. Looking at this. Obviously, the V taper, the arms, very impressive pose. I clearly see here Harold winning this pose. Nick and Bob, what do you guys see in this pose? I clearly see Harold in first place. Who do you guys see in second place? Is there anything Harold can do better in this pose? I think this is possibly one of his best poses.
Bob, you want to go first?
Sure, Nick, why not? So, listen, you're gonna have Harold in first place in every pose. Okay, his only drawback has been, like he said, and again, I got to applaud you, Harold, because setting up business, of course, should always be first and foremost. And I mean real business. We all do the business of bodybuilding, but like you say, you're setting up a trucking company. You've got a family to support, and that should always be first and foremost in anybody's mind, whether you're a pro bodybuilder or not. If you're going to devote the time that you have to devote. So that said, Harold is, again, we talk about wheelchair bodybuilding. Harold looks like a top level bodybuilder that happens to be in a wheelchair. There is a big, big difference there. The other guys, God bless them, and a lot of them have overcome a lot of obstacles, and they do the best they can. And Nick can explain more about that with their various degrees of injury, of whether it's higher or lower. Again, Nick explains that every show we're at, so the audience can understand and appreciate what it is they have to overcome to get in that kind of condition. And some of them just can't get certain things because they've had injuries that prevent them from doing that. Harold, looks like you took an Olympian bodybuilder and plunked him into a wheelchair and went, here, go ahead, compete. The back level development, the chest, the big arms, the abdominal area, it's all top notch. That's why he's so difficult to beat. And he's going to be difficult to beat as long as the guy's 50 something years old. He looks like a guy who's 30 years old.
Yeah, that's true. Nick.
Yeah, so when I talk to the guys, so take Kevin, for example, right next to Harold, he gets a tendency to crunch down, which makes him look smaller versus extend upwards. And if we do that, it'd make his waist smaller and give him bigger lat flare out. So he looks a tinier waist. But these guys are doing what they think so they can focus on their abs. They can do that. But if you're going to be side by Harold, you got to expose that you appear bigger than him. And that's what Kevin, and he's leaning forward. So he crunches down looking much smaller than he is. And if you look at Carroll, he brings it too close in and he's more blocky. So the judges got like this and Harold wins easy. So they're in their head, they're thinking, what do I look best versus how do I outpose Harold? And so I studied Harold's posing for years, and certain poses he's much better now, but he closed off looking smaller than Harold actually did. He evolves over the years, but these guys, if they don't get their poses down, they're not going to beat him. Sorry, I'm in a staircase at the airport. But they could beat Harold if they learn how to pose, but in the moment on the stage, the pressure, they fall apart. Harold's a class act. He's the OG. He's been competing in the wheelchair since 2010, got his pro card in 2011. And if the guys don't bring it together, Harold can keep winning the Olympia year after year. But these guys, Rajesh on the far end, he won the Arnold. He had this 3D look about him from when I talked to the judges and stuff, and he was on point with the condition, just a well packaged. But other than that, these guys just need to nail their conditioning. Gorilla got big arm, but he hasn't nailed his conditioning. At times he does, but that's where also Gorilla falls short. I've talked to Gorilla too, but they're still tweaking it. And at this stage of the game, you gotta know your body or work with a coach to help. When I was training back in the day, I worked with George Fair and Hawley, and with their, I did George for a couple of years, then Hawley, and after dealing with them and learning my body through them, that was the only way I was able to beat Harold. Other than that, I wouldn't have a chance.
Bob, there's a few similarities here, right? Gorilla Obino, the competitor to our straight left here, he's from Brazil. He's got those big guns, but the lat development is not comparable to his arms. It reminds me a little bit of Akeem Williams, right? The big arms with the lat development that's not there. And then right next to him, we see Karol Molesky. Karol Molesky, he's big. You can see he's big, but the conditioning is not there. Reminds me a little bit of Michael Krizo in the open, right? He needs to get a little bit more condition. And then you have a guy like Kevin, he's got the conditioning. Obviously he doesn't have the small waist as Harold, but I completely agree with Nick Scott. He kind of reminds me a little bit of that front double biceps that Nick Walker does, right? He kind of scrunches down and shows his abs, and then he becomes smaller. So you're right. He's got to bring that pose, back to get the small waist, to get the lats out. Rajesh here is a good bodybuilder. He's got, the V taper, but we're missing a little bit of mass. And then Gabriele Andriuli, maybe a little bit more chest. But this is probably Harold Kelly's most dominant performance here, front double biceps. That's when we get to see how great he is of a bodybuilder. And I agree with Bob. It's just like we got a champion and we put him in a wheelchair. Now we're going to go ahead, Bob.
Unless Nick Scott comes out of retirement, and I know Harold is begging for him to come back because he wants to avenge that loss to Nick from years ago. But the biggest threat to Harold, aside from Harold, is Karol. Okay, Karol is a big boy. He's got a lot of muscle, He caught the champ when he didn't come in at his best, and he rightfully beat him. And let me say this. Harold has been as gracious in defeat as he's ever been in winning. And you got to take hats off for that, because it's easy to get used to winning over and over and over and then cry foul when you lose. And Harold did anything but that. He was the first to congratulate Carol, didn't make any excuses, just said, hey, that's the game. I'll get him next time. But Harold's got a very good physique, and he's bigger than Harold. But Harold's strength is in his completeness. Again, the lat width, the development, overall muscularity, the conditioning that he brings, the big chest. I mean, very difficult to beat that complete of a physique. But Carol is, make no mistake, that's the competition right there.
So what I'm looking for the best of the best. And to be honest, where Harold really defined that he was the most dominant in the world was not the Arnold or the Olympia. It was at the first pro show back in 2011, Houston Pro. The most impressive wheelchair bodybuilder that I've ever come across. He's passed away, but he goes by Jason Greer. Harold knows exactly who I'm talking about. And if you put up pictures of Jason Greer, he is like, Harold beat him. Jason got a second. But by Harold beating Jason, Harold is the real deal, because Jason was a force to reckon with. But if Jason wants to compete with these guys, but Carol would be the next in line, like that front over bicep. Carol, he crunched down at the UK. If he extends his body, he got a very narrow waist with a big upper body. It's a very impressive V shaper, but Carol did something different there, which that's why he's losing. It takes seconds. But Harold got a beautiful physique, condition, the size, the symmetry. I mean, unless these guys put it together, Harold's not going anywhere. But if they bring it together and they pay attention, yeah, zoom up in that front and that most muscular.
Yeah, that's so Jason Greer maybe is a bit too small. I'm gonna read here for some of our viewers. Jason Greer, he's from Hatboro, Pennsylvania, born in 1973, birthplace Bucks County, Pennsylvania, a disability paraplegic, injury date 1993, type of injury, spinal cord injury, contest weight 150 pounds, off season 170 pounds, year started training 1988, 1989, favorite exercise, flat bench press, favorite body part to train, back. Harold, you beat this guy?
Yeah, I didn't expect to win that show. I'm gonna tell you that right now.
You ask Carol. He's impressive. Yeah, he's massive in the wheelchair.
I literally told myself I was coming in about 4th or 5th when I won that show. That is how I felt. And but Jason is very, very dominant all over. Like you said, he started in 89. I was in high school. But he been doing it for a while. And he grew up in the camp at the gym. So when I saw him, he had deep muscle tissues. He had bellies. I mean, he knew what he was doing. He knew what he was doing when I competed. I didn't really know what I was doing. I'll be honest with you, man. My first few years, I was doing something that I love to do, workout, but bodybuilding is another whole nother category. You could tell he was a bodybuilder in a wheelchair.
When Harold says he's going to do this, the wheels fall off. There's videos of Jason in the Smith machine sitting in his wheelchair, shoulder pressing 315 pounds. I found Jason on MySpace, and he was hesitant to compete. He competed at the 2010 NPC USA. I competed against Jason. I told him, you're going to be a star. And he didn't believe it. And he competed, and I was able to convince him to compete. And he was the most impressive. He was always insecure of his chest because he got a torn pec due to bench press. And he had amazing condition. I asked him one point, what do you do to get so conditioned? He said he took those turkey pastries that's full of sodium and he sucks on them. And I thought he was serious, and I could never know if he was serious because I'm thinking that's just going to make you watery. But every time I saw Jason, I told him, man, you're looking small. He was very insecure mentally. I was playing with his mind, but he was just this phenomenal. He's a great guy too. But anyway,
Listen, I got to be honest. Here. I've heard of a lot of last minute voodoo techniques, but sucking on turkey, that's a new one for me.
That little tablet that's full of sodium. That's what he told me he did. I'm just thinking, you're full of it. But
well, listen, as somebody who's been around for that long, I can tell you there was a technique we used to use back in the mid to late 80s called sodium loading. So it's not crazy, but the problem with it was it was a complete roll of the dice. Like you either nailed it and you'd come in ripped to shreds and win the show, or it would backfire and you'd be waterlogged and coming in 10th. So there was very little in between, and sodium loading kind of came and went. But that was an old technique back in the day.
Yeah, and some of the wheelchair athletes, like Adolfo, he believed in sodium loading, and then some work, some doesn't, because then he would drink 2 gallons of water the night before I competed. And I'm just thinking, you're crazy. I would be bloated. But then there were shows he was completely diced. So it's like knowing your body. And I remember, I don't know if it was Arnold one year, but we were talking or something, and an athlete that was in the non-wheelchair, he said he's going to get some pizza to load up. And I just remember you saying, if you do that, you're gonna be smooth. And that's when, it's learning all this stuff over the years. That's I remember you saying that, Bob.
Well, listen, because it's just stupid at the end that you do all that homework. Harold, I would suspect in your case, with few exceptions, and it's literally been a few, one of your hallmarks has been your consistency. Take us through the last 48 hours. You do anything different? Is it a wild ride of carbon up and loading and all that stuff, or do you pretty much just kind of ease your way into the show?
You said the last 48 hours?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, when I start adding carbs back, when I carb load, starting that Tuesday, Wednesday before the show.
Well, hang on. So you deplete first?
Yes, I seriously deplete. Deplete. And my numbers may not go down under. I was trying to go down under 50 carbs the week before, but that didn't do good for me. So 100 carbs, going down to 100 carbs was good for me.
Sure.
But Tuesday night or either Wednesday, I start carb loading. And by Friday, me and my wife she looks when I wake up Friday morning, we done, we good. We don't need to be running around here doing stuff. I'm gonna have a pocket full of Snickers before the show. I'm gonna have one Vitargo in my water that I'm gonna be sipping on that Saturday morning or whatever. But we good. We it's no more after Friday. We pretty much set. And then I've learned to cut protein out Thursday, Friday. I start cutting. Friday, I don't have to eat protein. It's irrelevant now. It's in my gut. What I need it for. So, and carbs are gonna be low. I just need something to get me through that day, and then give me a carb load, a pump when that morning, and I'm good. And the show is in 30 minutes. That's a wrap. So technically, when I wake up Friday, we good. We don't need to be doing nothing else. No this, that, no diuretics, none of this whole bunch of I don't do any of that. I'm good to go Friday. I'm good. And I don't even
before you go on stage, Harold. A lot of people very curious. How long do you normally pump up, like before you're going to go on stage?
Yeah, and Nick know me. I'll get on him and he'll be like, "Y'all go ahead and get ready." I'm like, "Bro, it's too much time. No, I can't. You gonna shoot the nitrous too early?" Like I told Nick, we was in Canada. He would have pumping it up. Him and Rob and Daly, what's her name? The girl.
Dana Lynn.
Yeah. He over there pumping out. I said, he done hit the nitrous too early. He done hit it too early. He gonna flatten out.
How long do you normally wait? How long before you get on stage?
Yeah, wait till the last minute you can before you get on stage. I mean, you got 10 minutes, right? You over pump, and the water gonna start getting through the skin. So sure. I try not to over pump. You can over pump and you push that water through the skin, you done. You don't flatten out all that months of working out. You just over pump. Then they tell you, well, we got to postpone for an hour. What? And this mess your whole deal up. So I'm waiting to pump up right before we go on stage. Leave me alone. Let me do my thing.
There's some footage. There we go.
Yeah.
Now we're talking here. Some Olympia style stuff here.
Yeah, because when Harold's backstage, at times there's not a lot of veins popping out, and some of the guys will use it as an indicator, but they don't realize as soon as Harold gets on stage, like he comes to life, then the veins calm, then his body has this 3D look about him, and it's phenomenal. So a lot of these things, it just shows from 2011 to beating Jason that does these crazy not carb load, but sodium load. Harold knows his body to now we're going into 2025, learning his body to the T, and being in the wheelchair. Yeah, you got certain things, but the reality is you don't make no excuse. Harold figured it out. His wife is his coach for many years and still is, but look at Harold, and good luck to guys if they want to put it together, because they pretty much have to have their shit together in order to take down King Kong.
It's one thing I would say also, I've learned that when I go in the gym and work out, we could work out in the morning and we pumping up 5 pounds, 10 pounds, and we get into our second set of exercises, we supersetting. I've noticed every time within that first 20, 30 minutes, when I'm hitting it hard, I look great when I first started. But as I get into the workout, then I start feeling out. And that's when I learned that, okay, that's what's happening on stage. So let me stop this pump until I can get on stage and then go. And I've learned that by doing it in the gym and looking at myself in the mirror and seeing the process. So people don't understand that. Stop listening. I mean, I can say stop listening to coaches. I'm sorry. You need to learn your system and tell your coach what's going on, so he'll know how to better get you equipped and ready. Because he don't know what you were doing. Everybody's body is different. It's 7.6 billion people. Everybody's body is different. You need to tell him how your body performs under certain stress, and then he'll tell you how to stress it to get the best benefit out of it.
Now, Harold, yesterday we did a live with Mr. Olympia Samson Dauda, and he said, nobody knows my body at this point in terms of coaching and training than my wife. My wife knows how my body reacts. She knows a lot of details that no other coach knows. Now, you're also telling me that your wife is your coach. Is that correct?
Since 2010, not 2 years ago. 2010.
We asked him, how is it to have your wife as a coach? Samson said, my wife is the hardest coach I've ever had. She doesn't sugarcoat it. She tells me straight up, I'm not lean enough. I need to do more cardio. Stop being lazy. Get off your ass. And I was like, gee, that must put a toll on your relationship. He goes, well, I know she's doing it for my own good. How is your relationship with your wife as the coach? Does that put a burden in your relationship?
I don't know, but she's always by my side. I can't do nothing without her, bro. Y'all, if people don't understand, man, a life coach is a life coach, man. Your partner is your partner. If she's fighting against you, she's not your partner. But man, she's always by my side, bro. I mean, I don't go nowhere without her, bro. I'm not me without her. So, and Nick will tell you, ever since Nick met me, I'll tell him, talk to her, and she'll tell me what I need to do. But that's how you have to do it, man. Coaches coach them. I understand that. But who best want the best for you? Who want the best for you? That's your partner. Yourself and your partner want the best for y'all, because both of you benefit from it. So she's not going to tell me something that may be right. No, she's going to tell me what's right. And we both going to talk about it and be like, well, this is my opinion. This is your opinion. So this is how we're going to do it.
So Harold, what's the future hold, not just for this year, but beyond? Clearly, again, as we've outlined, you've been at this many, many years. You do have a family. You've got business that you've put together and such. What does the competitive landscape look for you? Is it this year? Is it beyond? You take it 1 year at a time. You have a 2-year plan. Like, where are you at?
1 year at a time. One year at a time. You're right. It's 100% true. Because at one point we was about to back out.
Yeah.
At one point we was about to back out, and then right now you see we sitting at our gym. We own a full-fledged gym. So I was like, baby, let's continue on and let this help us build the gym better, because me being on stage will help this out a lot better. And she's like, okay, that makes sense. Let's go ahead and keep going forward. Because I was at my car shop and doing the truck, and it's like, okay, I don't really need to do the bodybuilding anymore. But when it makes sense, when we both sit down and write the numbers down, it makes sense. So let's do it together. So let's continue on. And again, like I just said, this is a blessing from the Creator. So that's where I see it. So I'm like, okay, you still want me here, so I'm gonna continue to do what I need to do and train in that sphere to be able to become or continue to be number one in the world in the wheelchair class. And again, trying to get more and more definition, put a little more size on it, bring a better look than I used to do every year. So this year you will see that, wow, he must have been doing something else. Well, I've just been training at my own gym now. And that's another whole look. I never had that before. This is the first time you saw me at Olympia. We opened in June. And so you saw the effects of it from June to Olympia. Now you're going to see the effects of it for March. Then you will see the big effects of it to the end of next year. So actually, my best look is still coming.
Are those threatening words to your competitors?
Promise. As a promise. No threat.
Okay, Harold, we need to create an animosity between you and the other competitors to sell tickets.
Well, I saw did with the press conference, Carol really drilled Harold, saying Harold's small compared to him, and he's got no chance. How did you feel when Carol was talking like smack, saying you have no chance and that you're smaller than him? How did that make you feel when he said that?
That's how he made me feel. He have no idea. Exactly how he made me feel. I was laughing inside.
Funny part is if you know Harold as we have for all these years, he doesn't take anything too seriously. He thought that was more amusing than anything. But listen, you go with the flow. You go and listen. Carol is a lot bigger than he is. I mean, there's no question. He's a big boy, right? But this isn't a competition about who's the biggest. It's who's the best. Right. And Harold clearly has shown that he's the best. But Harold, all you got to do now to take the next step is we got to get some fine Panada equipment in your gym.
There you go. Make the phone call. Phone call.
Shameless. I know some people, bro. I can get you hooked up. But
hey, we got doors wide open. There's the person you need to contact. We are ready to go when y'all ready to go.
We'll talk to the boss later, bro. We'll get you hooked up.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So talking about the equipment, so Harold, I seen that there's other wheelchair athletes that been training there at the gym. Where's your gym located? Is it open to everybody? Tell us a little bit more about that.
We're at King Kong Nation Fitness in Irving, right outside of Dallas. You're in Dallas. You're 10 minutes from me. King Kong Nation Fitness. And on Beltline, it's a full-fledged gym, and then memberships available, training available, accessible to everybody. G comes to work out here. We hooking somewhere with Bradley. He's going to be in town. We're going to do a video and stuff. And then and what's my other guy from Louisiana? Kyle. So we were trying to put something together. Actually, we're trying to put something together, a seminar to have all four of us here at one time, so we can really bring some good stuff to you. Oh yeah, and we got to do that all over again. that looks depressing, but that's my wife right there. Her on stage, women's physique look right there.
Very nice, very nice. Anna Kelly here, and then we have Harold Kelly here, and that is King Kong Nation Fitness. That's 10 minutes from Dallas. Is that correct?
Correct. Right there. Most people come to you'll go to the Irving Convention Center. We're right around the corner from the Irving Convention Center where a lot of shows are held.
The address, guys, is 940 North Beltline Road, Suite 127. That is in Irving, Texas. Zip code is 75061. You can go there and train with the 6-time Olympia wheelchair champion, Harold Kelly. Man, Bob,
yes.
I have a question for you. Samson Dauda is training with his wife. He wins the Olympia. Right. Harold Kelly is training with his wife. He wins the wheelchair Olympia.
Yep.
Am I going to have to go to my wife and say, fix me up?
It wouldn't be a bad idea at this point. What you don't need is a guru. That seems to have taken a back seat. But Harold, listen, like I said, Samson, God bless him. I love him. Great champion. But Harold was doing this 10 years earlier. He figured out the formula of having the wife taking a look at you. It's these other guys that need to catch up, whether it's your wife, your significant other, your training partner. If you have somebody with good knowledge and has a good eye, okay, and you're at an elite level. Listen, we're talking about Olympians here, okay? Like this came up a few weeks back, and we took a little bit of heat. God forbid we should ever advise people that they don't need some type of guru or some sort of voodoo master, with their preps. If you're already a Mr. Olympia, okay, if you're in the top 3 of the Mr. Olympia, and you've kind of already been there and done that, you should have enough knowledge in your repertoire, in your bag of tricks, to get yourself there, that you don't need to rely on somebody full time. Now, everybody uses somebody for feedback, for training, for motivation. We're not saying that. Yet what you don't need is that guy, like the chemical guy. Okay, that's and listen, let's keep things real here. Okay, that backfires as much as it works, because there's only one winner out there. That means everybody else. Well, what happened? What happened? What happened? No, you came in off. What happened? Well, apparently everybody's guru can't be all knowing and bring everybody 100%. Tarek, when was the last time we handicapped the show and we said, wow, this is the first time we've seen 6 guys and that were all 100%? And the answer is never.
That's true. A lot of times we're talking about guys not being on rather than everybody is on. So I have to agree. Usually I don't agree with you, Bob, because you're often wrong. But this time you are correct. It's not often that happens, but this time you are correct.
I speak truth to power, my friend. Like I said, I've been down this road 100 times, and I'm telling you, it's the same old, same old. Like I said, the percentage ratio is not in the favor of the guru. Like I said, when everybody has an excuse book open after the show of what happened, hey, I thought, well, we decided to try something new, as if the Olympia is the time to do that, right? Or, we did this, we did that, and it's just like Harold just said, all he does is he depletes a little. This is old school, okay? That's what we did. You deplete a little bit, then you bring the carbs up a little bit. You don't go crazy. You're not ordering pizzas. You're not stuffing food down your throat backstage. None of this stuff is going to help anybody at the show, okay? If you're not ready by the time you get there, you're done.
That's another thing too. A lot of guys that want the pinnacle position being first, but I sit in the audience and watch all classes. I'm literally sitting there still learning. 6 times, I'm still sitting there learning. And a lot of guys don't want to learn no more. They figure they know it. I'm like, bro, when last time you saw another class and then sit in the audience and then look at the difference and understand the difference between the two so you can apply it to yourself and make yourself even better. Instead of then, I'm not up until Saturday morning. Therefore, I don't know nobody else. I'm not around nobody else. And bro, you can still learn. And I think a lot of them cut themselves off from learning because they feel where they're at. And when they do that, they cut themselves off from growth. And it's not for me to tell you. I just see it. I don't advocate it. I just see it. But you will see me at a show. You see me in the audience just watching still. Girl classes, any class, because still something to learn right there. I'm just looking at the dynamics, the movement. Everything is energy. And if you absorbing that good energy in it that you can use it for yourself, that's what I constantly do. So that's my makeup. I'm still learning still today.
Talk about energy. We have here 8-time Miss Olympia, Linda Murray. That's right, Mr. O. It's a promise. Love the King Kong. Very cool. Linda Murray, 8-time Miss Olympia. We have right here Isabel, Fit Rock Star. He means business. You have a lot of fans. Now, before we finish this live, I want to hear from Nick Scott and then Harold Kelly. Nick, talk to me about the current state of wheelchair bodybuilding. If I am a first-time wheelchair competitor, if I want to compete, what is the next competition? How can I, get in contact with you? How can I become a wheelchair competitor?
Okay, before we get that, Tarek, you've been judging. You got the eye. Who do you see is Harold's biggest threat to take him down?
Listen, I'm going to agree with you. I think Karol Molesky has the mass. He needs to come in conditioned. And if he does that, he can threaten Harold. Now, Harold has a smaller waist. Nick, I got to be honest. When Harold Kelly was winning and he was very dominant, it was fun. But I prefer when it's more competitive, right? I prefer when you have big dogs competing. And if you look at that final call out, right? Gabriele Andriuli, that guy brings the conditioning. I love that guy. Carol Molesky, he's got the mass. King Kong, he is the king. And then you have Kevin Escondido. Remember at the Arnold Classic, he went down there in Brazil and shocked the world. I love the category right now because you have heroes, right? You know, some people love Kevin, some people love King Kong. I'm sure some Europeans, they go for Carol Molesky. So, you know, I often say that, you know, a category is made out of superstars. But going back to your question, I think Carol Molesky is the guy to attack Harold Kelly. But again, you know, like Bob said, to go against Harold Kelly, you got to bring everything you have in your life because the guy is a monster.
What about you, Bob? Who do you think is Harold's biggest threat?
Harold. That's as easy as it gets. Okay, and then, unless his wife loses her mind and completely just can't see his physique anymore, to quote the famous 1933 edition of King Kong, it was beauty that killed the beast.
Oh, wow, Bob.
That's deep.
That's deep. That's deep, Bob. Bob is the next poet. Well, Harold, we are going to give you the final word. This is your category. What is your word to all the wheelchair fans and all the fans of bodybuilding that love what you do?
Man, you know, again, I just want to say thank you for everyone, all of your support since day one, when this category was introduced to the class to open us up and being able to compete. And over the years, you know, I've learned a lot. I grew a lot, and y'all helped me, you know, be successful in life for me and my family. Also love that the new guys are coming out and very competitive, and now we're putting on a show. Like Terry, you could say it's a show now. We got different guys that's doing their thing, and they're bringing it to the table. And it just that, you know, I'm going to be here and represent the best I can represent and bring this class to the highest level that I can bring it and my capabilities. And until, you know, I feel that internally that I'm done, then I'll be done. But until then, we're nowhere near that right now. We're just nowhere near there right now. And, you know, just to mention about Linda Murray, man, I used to watch Linda Murray compete, and she was phenomenal, man. That physique she had was phenomenal, and there was no comparison to it, you know. And nothing taken away from Iris for her 10 wins, beautiful physique also. But like I said, I'm gonna do what I need to do. And I actually was looking at who won 7, who won 8, who won 10, and I was like, okay, baby. I wrote a deal that on the side of the bed when we was going to bed one night, because someone showed me a picture. I'm in this Guinness Book of World Records, and so I saw that, and I was like, okay, what else do we need to do here? So, you know, just make prayer, man. I push my energy towards this class, and I want to do the best I can do, and I'll represent the best way I can. And all the other guys out there that's competing, hey, bring it on. I got your back. You ask me some questions, I'm not gonna give you no bullcrap reason or bullcrap excuse. I'm gonna give you the best thing I can give you to make you better. Not afraid of you beat me, not at all. You can beat me, that's fine. That's how it's gonna be. It's gonna be that way. But I'm gonna give you the best thing I've seen and I can do for you. Even if you come to my gym, I mean, the best man gonna win. You can't deny it. Hands down, the best man gonna win.
Well, Harold, we're going to finish the live. One of our traditions here at Olympia Live with Bob and I is that we finish the live with the moment that Bob Cicherillo announces the winner of the category. We did it yesterday with Samson Dowda. He almost started crying. I'm like, Samson, this is recorded. It's not live. Hold on one second. Let me get here.
Harold's heard plenty of these.
So right here, yeah, that's when Bob calls. Let me put some sound here.
Representing the IFBB, Mr. Billy Sibilia, Ron Partlow, and Dusty Hanshaw, representing our good friends from Mutant. Hey, Steve made his way up. All right. We got Big Steve back up on stage. He's fresh off of surgery, folks, so.
Right.
Here we go. The next name you hear will be the winner of the 2024 Wheelchair Olympia. Gentlemen, please take the first place check, the first place award. the Olympia gold medal, and the title of 2024 Wheelchair Olympia champion. And 6-time Olympia champion, Harold Kong Kelly. How about a big hand, folks, for your runner-up, Kevin Secondino.
All I do is win, 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 no matter what. Got money on my mind, I can never get enough. And every time I step up in the building, everybody hands go up. And they stay there, and they stay there.
All right, let's get our representatives in between. Gentlemen, hands raised in victory. All right, thank you, Big Steve. Thank you, Mutant. Thank you, Wolfpack Max, Celsius.
Great Olympia moment. Congratulations, Bob. Great emotion. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the best bodybuilder in the world in wheelchairs. His name is Harold King Kong Kelly. This man has won 6 Olympia titles, and he's won 7 Arnold Classic titles. Man, the way he is going, he is joining the likes of Lee Haney, Ronnie Coleman, Linda Murray, Iris Kyle. Man, he's joining the group of iconic gods and goddess of our sport. I want to thank Harold for spending some time with us. Harold, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Also, I want to thank Nick the Beast Scott, one of the best ambassadors for the wheelchair bodybuilding. Nick, you inspire all of us.
Thank you. It's an honor to be on.
And also my co-host, he is the voice of bodybuilding, the master of ceremony for the Mr. Olympia, Bob Ciccarello. And forgot to say, he's the 2000 Mr. USA's Bob Ciccarello.
Always, once a Mr. USA, always a Mr. USA. Harold, I'm going to leave you with this, buddy. And 7-time Olympian champion, Harold King Kong Kelly.
All right, Bob making a strong prediction. I will see you guys next Wednesday, where we bring you guys Carlos Thomas Jr. will be here next Wednesday, joining us on Olympia Live. My name is Tarek El Guindy with the Mr. Olympia. We'll see you guys next time.
Ladies and gentlemen,